Finally, indeed. Hello, my lovely disciples. Hello, Karasu. Hello, Oncey. Hello, Kamam. And anyone else who may or may not be here. Hope you're having a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Boop. So, how's everyone doing? Everyone having a good night? Sorry it took so long to get around to this book club. It probably would have happened even if I didn't take the day off, but I just didn't want to risk it. You know? So, here we are. I enjoyed the day. Got some music recording done. Played around with some instrumental stuff. Not like terribly productive, but I did finish a song. So, something I've been working on off and on for a while now. And I finally got it sorted. Doing great. Just watched the new Superman. I have heard like two wildly different takes. Like I've heard like there's the people who absolutely adore it. They're like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is what Superman should be. And then there's the people who are like, what the fuck is this garbage? And then like I saw like a couple people who were like, yeah, it was fine, I guess. I don't know, it was a movie. But like most people I've seen talk about it are one of those two extreme camps where it's like, it's garbage, or this is the best thing ever. I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah. So. I don't know. I don't know what to think. Well, I know what I think. I think I don't care about Superman that much, so I'm not gonna go see it. Like I saw a couple Superman movies because people were like, oh, you gotta watch the Superman movie. I'm like, do I? And they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make you. I'm like, oh, okay. And like, they were fine, I guess. I don't know. Never been a huge Superman fan. For me, it was kind of meh. I like the guy that played Superman, but Crypto the dog truly stole the show. I heard that too. I heard Crypto was probably the best part of the movie. Actually, I think that's the one thing everyone agreed on, was Crypto was the best part of the movie. That I saw, at any rate. So, you know what? Fair enough. Can't wait for movies Wicked second part. I still haven't seen Wicked. I don't know that I cared to. Didn't seem like my jam. I just kind of... That's the thing, is like, I just like don't watch a bunch of shit nowadays, because it's just like, I'm just like, doesn't really seem like my jam. And people are like, you didn't see that? I'm like, yeah, I didn't really seem like my jam. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I mean, it's just, they advertised the thing, I watched it, and I was like, well, this is not like the things that I like, so I'm gonna not watch it. And they're like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point of advertisements. It's to advertise so that people could decide it if they think they're going to like it beforehand or not. If you don't think you're going to like it, you don't watch it. And that concept seems to be lost on a lot of people. Like, genuinely, people seem confused when I'm like, yeah, I saw an advertisement and it made me not want to engage with a thing because it advertised something that I don't like. Oh man, yeah, it's a very strange conversation to have with people sometimes. Yeah. Always loved Christopher Reeves as Superman, the true original. Oh my god, like the old Supermans from back in the day, those were pretty good. I do remember enjoying those. That's fair. I was thinking of like new Superman stuff, like within the last 20 years. I haven't really liked any of it, but like the really old Superman stuff, I enjoyed that. Yeah. There's too much to choose from not to be picky about your time. For real. Yeah. It's just like people are like, "Oh, you haven't how have you not seen this? How have you not heard this?" I'm like, "Dude, what do you mean? How? Have you seen how much stuff exists now? It's literally impossible to engage with everything." There was a time when it was like there was like a very limited supply of entertainment, right? You you had a very limited amount of stuff to engage with. Now it's basically infinite. And it's just like, yeah, like of course I haven't seen a thing. Have you seen all the other stuff that exists out there? Yeah. It's overwhelming sometimes. It really is. It's super overwhelming. Because, like, not only do you have all this new stuff coming out all the time, you also have this massive back catalog of stuff. Just absolutely enormous back catalog of stuff that is just out there waiting for you to engage with it. So, like, you could not touch a single new thing for decades with the amount of like stuff that like constantly comes out. Like you could just be like 5 years behind at all times and you would still just like never run out. You could only touch stuff between like 1980 to 2010 and never run out of stuff. Like it's wild how much stuff there is out there. I mean, you probably would eventually, but it would be hard. Yeah, but speaking of back catalogs of stuff, King of the Gray was pretty good, actually. I was very sad that there wasn't an audiobook. I thought there was an audiobook. Like, I had convinced myself there was one before I went on the trip. And to Montana. And then I went to do the trip to Montana. I was like, wait, there's no audiobook for this? Yeah, so that was unfortunate. Yeah, the book was very good. It was odd. Like it was very different from the usual, which is good in this case. Sometimes different is bad. Sometimes different is very good. In this case, different was very good. I really like it. It does vaguely follow the typical like hero's journey like outline, but definitely goes about it. Yeah, I'd say it pretty much typically follows the standard hero's journey. But it doesn't like it both does and doesn't lean into tropes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it does lean into tropes, but like in a weird sideways sort of way. You know what I mean? Like we have the attractive heroine, right? Odd balance. Yeah, kinda. It like it's more that it like it's we you know what it is? You know what it is? It's that it acknowledges the tropes that it is using. Like it's self-aware of what it's doing almost. Cuz like okay, so you have the main character Jeremiah Topman, right? Who's just like the absolute most boring individual on the fucking planet. Gets up, goes to work, works, goes home, takes work home with him, works more, and then goes to sleep and wakes up and does it all again. Like, mind blowing. And like over and over again throughout the book, it hammers home that like the main character Jeremiah, he has not lived his life at all. He has just existed for years, like a literal dead man walking, which is funny because his last name is like kind of translates to dead man, which the book also is happy to point out. It's absolutely hilarious. We'll get back to the part where he's like basically a dead man walking later, but there's that. So we immediately are plunged into this, like his, we get a sort of a view into his normalcy, but even as we see the normalcy, like we are immediately hit with strangeness. We immediately have this raven that's following him from station to station, and this hypnotizing beauty that he randomly sees as he's on the train to work in the opening scene. And the hypnotizing beauty, the standard beautiful heroine, she's literally just the beautiful heroine love interest to the hero of the story, right? That's the trope she plays. But like, and like this trope is very much so acknowledged by the story, and it's, but it, at the same time, in acknowledging it, the story subverts it a little bit, because she isn't just a damsel in distress. She quite frequently is a mover and shaker in the plot. Like she does do things, and she goes against the other gray in the story, which Callistra is who I'm talking about. She's one of the gray in the story. The gray being kind of the shadow people who like live alongside us, you know? And it's very interesting how that happens. And like the story's both very trope heavy, but it not super trope heavy, but like it uses them, but then also subverts them in its use of them, which I think is very good. It was very well done. I also liked that in that same vein, one of the things that the gray do, because they are shadows, they are reflections of human memory and human thought and dreams and all of that, right? So because of that, in many ways, a lot of them are literal characters out of our fiction. Like the King Oberon and Queen Titania are a thing. They are, the elves and the fairies are the part of the gray. They are just one facet of the gray. There's also a literal manifestation of Marilyn Monroe, but instead of being a person, she's just the sex icon, right? It's very interesting, and most of the gray are very formless, very abstract, but like the ones that have form and substance are very much so, they're almost caricatures of humans' thoughts and emotions, which it was very good. And the fact that they have a tendency to speak in rhyme and in sayings and whatnot, right? Like they, you know, oh gosh, if I could pull up some stuff. The Marilyn Monroe was hilarious, yes. Let me see if I could pull up a couple of examples here, because I think I highlighted a few things. Yeah, so so here's one. The best laid plans of mice, men, and the gray, however, did not always turn out the desired way. The spell did work in the beginning to a point, calling to the shadow world select folk. Well, yeah, I mean, this first part, like that first couple sentences where it like rhymes, the best laid plans of mice, men, and the gray, like best laid plans of mice, men, blah blah blah, they designed to fail, right? That whole saying, you know, they twist and parody common sayings and phrases in order to communicate properly. constantly talking in cliches, yes, and it drove Jeremiah crazy. He was losing his mind the whole time, which I found hilarious. Yeah, they constantly talked in cliches and rhyme and all this, and it was so good, so good. One moment, I need water. Gonna use the board to explain stuff. I don't feel like it today. Maybe next time. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. So, kind of drove me crazy too. Oh, I loved it. I love sayings and cliches and phrases. You know what? Let me pull it up. So, we'll do a little bit. We'll do a little bit of a thing. So, ooh, all right. So, oop. King of the Gray. All right. Oop, not too much. And so we have Jeremiah. It's like, I think it's spelled like this. I don't know. I don't really remember. Main character. He's King of the Gray. I suppose I should explain what the King of the Gray is. The King of the Gray is the Gray's anchor to reality. The king is supposed to shape and guide the Gray to make them more real, give them more substance. In anchoring the Gray, so too can the Gray influence humanity. Because the Gray can shape, they are not only are they humanity's hopes, dreams, caricatures, all of these things, but they not only are they pushed around by the influences of humanity, they are in turn able to loop back and influence humanity in turn. Totman. Okay, I missed an N. Thank you. There we go. So I normally do also, but there was so much of it. Yeah, a lot. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I really liked that kind of stuff. I also just liked, there were the sheer volume of it. Like, this book must have been maddening to write and edit. Holy moly. The sheer amount of effort that must have gone in to writing this book was just insane. Prior to the story was effectively a dead man walking. As he as the story progresses and he learns of the Gray, he becomes alive. So this was interesting. So I'm not really going over the plot much this go around. I'm mostly been just yapping about like what goes on with Jeremiah, but I think that's fine. But so I'll explain a little bit. So as we go through the story, when Jeremiah is being tossed about, essentially from place to place, person to person, just trying to figure things out and just trying to get back to the way things work, because he is an unwilling protagonist, right? But like he's unwilling, but he doesn't refuse to engage. Like he still engages with the story he's in. Like he doesn't just like not accept reality. He accepts the reality that he's in, and he's just like, okay, I get that this is a thing, but please get me out of here. Like, rather than just refute. Like, this was a problem I had with, I forget what the book was. It was like the bard or something. Unlike the whining bard, this is what I always come back to, that whiny ass bard who just would just refuse to acknowledge the things that were literally happening right in front of his eyes. Whereas Jeremiah takes him a little bit because he's like, it's weird, right? Obviously, it takes him a moment, but he eventually is like, okay, something is happening here. And so he spends time trying to understand what's going on around him, and he is unwilling, and he does want to get back home. That is ultimately his goal, is to get back home, which he actually never does. Spoiler. He ends up deciding to stay with the Grey, and become the king of the Grey, become their anchor, and help influence their growth. But it's just, he's thrown into an absolute roller coaster of a situation, and it's just one thing after another with him. But during this whole thing, he goes from being just this effectively blank slate of a human being to having wants, desires, needs, and feeling alive. Because he wasn't before. He wasn't alive before. Not really. He was a dead man walking, as, you know, his last name would indicate, right? Which I thought that was really good, because it really makes me like this right here. Stories are what makes us human. And like, and engaging in this sort of like other world that is like a reflection of humanity's dreams and stories, right? He became more alive, right? He in not, how do I have this idea in my head. I'm trying to get the words for it. And through it was through stories that he became alive, right? It literally, like, through engaging with the shadow realm, but by disengaging from reality, he went from being this shell of a human being to being a human being. He almost had to stop being human to become human. It's weird, you know? Yeah. Been a little while since I finished the book. Yeah, it's been a little while since I finished the book too. I kind of skimmed some stuff to sort of refresh myself. I forget the name of his coworker, but we'll just call him his coworker. Yeah, the way they did his coworker was good. So one of the things that Jeremiah does is he tries to go home, right? Callistra, she's fallen in love with him, as he has fallen in love with her, and she tries to help him home, right? However, this does not go according to plan. They get chased around by the Raven, the Raven is the antagonist of the story. Honestly, like, for the plot, the Raven matters for the plot, but as far as like talking about themes, he doesn't matter that much. I mean, he does probably, but I'm not talking about him right now. Anyways, they get chased around by the Raven, who is like the main bad guy, right? Eventually they get separated in the escape. Callistra lures away the Raven, and Jeremiah tries to go back to his house again so that he can walk through his life and re-engage. But there's Grey there that are looking for him, so he escapes, and he finds out where his coworker lives. His one best friend in the whole world. And so he gets to his coworker's house, and eventually he gets his coworker to notice him. And from the fucking moment he starts actively talking to his coworker, I knew that he was talking to a gray. I knew. I could tell. I could fucking tell. It was so easy. It was so well communicated. And like, I'm pretty sure most people who would be reading the book at that point would have noticed the coworker is a gray. Jeremiah, however, does not notice because he's like talking in just enough not cliche. I think it was Henry. Yeah, Henry, something like that. He was talking normally just enough to maybe not throw too many red flags, but there was a lot of cliches and rhyming going on in his speech. So I knew instantly it was great. Now, the twist for me was that it was the Raven the whole time. And that the Raven killed his coworker. Which is kind of fucking brutal. But yeah, and it right up to the last moment when Jeremiah is going to try and give away his powers. He's going to pass the spell. There's this spell that has turned him into the King of the Gray, right? And he's about to pass the spell on to his coworker because his coworker's like, well, I mean, if you give it up, it's just gonna go to some random guy, right? Like, and the guys before you sounded like they were kind of shit. So, like, just give it to me, you know? John Madma1, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Hope you're enjoying. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, so he's about to pass off the powers to Henry. Because it's like, well, it might as well be me. I'll take the burden. I'd be fine with it. And as that's happening, Jeremiah's like, oh, something's wrong here. And like, he feels like this darkness invading his mind as he's passing it off. And so he attacks the darkness instinctively, with his magical gray powers, right? And it blasts his coworker back. And he's like, wait, what? And then the Raven just like fucking emerges from his coworker's body, like the size of a fucking skyscraper or like a 4-story building or whatever, like towering over him, just like, you know, the bug. I don't know how many of you see Men in Black, but like the bug when it emerges from like the human skin suit, that's kind of how I visualized it, just splitting open and just like spilling out of this human skin suit. Just like, oh god, the imagery of that was amazing. We should watch Men in Black for movie night sometime. That'd be fun. We'll have to do that. What was I saying? What was I on about? Oh yeah, and just like the Raven starts mocking him and everything. And that like that right there is like where the climax really starts picking up. Oh, so good, so good. And at that point, that's the point where you start to realize the Raven really had everything orchestrated. Like everything that happened was according to the Raven's plan. Which I love not just an evil villain, but a truly competent evil villain. And the Raven was not only just fucking evil, like just pure evil, but like also wickedly smart. Oh, it was so good. I also liked so later on, like the Raven is talking about how it gains power and whatnot, and it's like, I have cultivated all this power over the years. Like, you cannot defeat me because I am the culmination of all of the fears of all of the anchors. I have been gaining power for so long, you cannot possibly stand against me. Like, the more you fear me, the more you think you can't defeat me, the more powerful I become, and you are already convinced that you can't defeat me, so you're stuck in a loop and you will never beat me. And that's another thing about being like, the whole thing with the Gray is that their little shadow world, it runs on belief. If you believe something is a certain way, then it becomes more real. And it's just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Hello, welcome on in, Lucius. It's going pretty good. We're just talking about The King of the Gray, book we read for book month. I really enjoyed it. I'm just gushing about it, basically. It was just a very well executed story. It had excellent premise. That was just a very well executed premise, and the premise was like, the premise was good, and then the execution was amazing. Like, like the fact that there's this like shadow world that's just our dreams and everything, and then like this shadow world, all the people in it, that they're called the Gray, and they're all running off of our cliches and everything. Oh, it's so good. It's so well done. The way things appeared and disappeared, yeah. It's just so good. They did such a good job. The Raven wanted to become real. The Raven did want to become real. So that was the whole thing. That was the whole driving force of this plot. Was, let me rewind a little bit. So basically, we have a handful of characters that really matter here. We have Jeremiah, obviously. We have 3 more that matter, or I guess 4. We have Heros. Callistra. Then we have the Raven, and we have Otto. So the Raven we've talked about, he's the antagonist. Wants to be real. All right, we'll get to that in a moment. We're gonna list out the other characters. Heros, wants to control Jeremiah. Power. So Heros is a Gray, big boss Gray. Opposes the Raven. Wants to control Jeremiah's power. All right. Callistra, working with Heros. As a honeypot. If you don't know what a honeypot is, basically it's someone who's supposed to, like, effectively, usually it's an attractive woman who is set as a trap for someone to fall into, usually to catch a criminal or something. Yeah, a lure. She's a lure. Falls in love with Jeremiah. Both plays into and subverts damsel in distress. Because, like, there are times where she's just She's a damsel who's distinctly not in distress quite frequently. Like she is definitely a damsel. But she is frequently not in distress. Starts out as very old gray. Starts out as barely existing. Once Jeremiah names him, he starts to remember. Turns out he helped cast the spell to start the Kings of the Gray. So there's a spell that like seeks out humans to become the King of the Gray. And the ones who cast it all forgot who they were. They effectively stopped existing. Otto, as far as we know in the story, is the only one. And hello, Kivictus, welcome on in. He's the only one who survived, that we know of. And he only just barely survived, and he only just barely started to remember when Jeremiah names him. So, if Jeremiah hadn't named him, he would have never remembered. And as he starts to remember, he starts doing things in the background. He starts doing things, and he starts helping out Jeremiah, because, you know, he named him, so he likes him. So, and that does matter. He does a lot in the story, but like he does and he doesn't do a lot. He kind of flashes in, does a thing, flashes out, until the very end, where he fucking dies. The Raven kills him. He ends up getting consumed by a creature spawned by the very spell he made. So he got to have a one last hurrah there. But so basically way back in ancient times, when humans still believed in dragons and the like, Otto and a bunch of other cast a spell to effectively find mortals that are easy to mold, who they can use to become more real, more human. Otto was like an ogre to me. I give me here talking to your ogre voice.
What's that? You thought he was talking in this voice? I suppose I could see that.
But yeah, so what was I on about? So that was a thing, and over time, the Raven starts to exist, and we as far as the story says, the spell either lured in the Raven or the Raven was created from the spell itself. Either way, the Raven became heavily tied into the spell and even started to influence it and bring in just absolute fucking crazy people, madmen, psychopaths, so on and so forth, and started like whispering to them and feeding off of their fear and all of this, in order to gain more power, and just kept consuming their fear to gain more power. At some point, Harrow starts existing as a gray, and he becomes more and more real as time goes on, and he is also trying to gain control of the anchors and influence them and gain more power that way, and so on. And he also enlists Callistra to help with this. And this all brings us to when Jeremiah becomes the King of the Gray. Harrows convinces Callistra that they can use Jeremiah's power to become human, to become real, in much the same way that the Raven wants to be real, right? Which it turns out that's not really a thing that they can do. Yeah, for them to be more solid than smoke. Not even just that, but to like really truly live and be part of the real world, right? So I mean, I guess to be more solid than smoke, yeah. But the way I would describe it is just to like it like how in Tron, where they're only on the programs are only in the computer, but some of them want to leave and become real people. Yeah. Not Tron Ares. Tron Ares sucks. Tron Legacy was pretty good though. What was I saying? My brain just shut off. One moment. Rebooting. Hold on. Pardon. We will return to your regularly scheduled Akashi momentarily. Sorry, I just thought about how much Tron Ares just fucking sucked. I got distracted by the suckage. They want to become real. Yes, they want to become real, which isn't a thing. The Raven gets close. Like, the Raven is able to dip in and out of reality for a little bit. It's even able to kill... the Raven actually kills Jeremiah's coworker, Henry, by dropping a rock on him. And it goes in and... Hey, you have a good one, Kavictus. Sleep well, sweet dreams, all of that. Thanks for dropping by, I appreciate it. The Raven even goes into the real world and kills a cat in like a brutally vicious scene in order to prove to itself, yes, I am real, right? I can be real. And it believes that the thing it needs to do to finally become real is absorb the spell that selects the kings of the gray, right? And make it a part of itself. The joke being the punchline being that once the Raven does this, because the Raven does eventually do this, Jeremiah has a moment of clarity and was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you do this. Because he realizes that the Raven has been feeding off the spell the whole time. And that the only way to defeat the Raven is to cut off its funnel to his fear. Because if it doesn't have the spell to act as a funnel, because effectively what's happening is the Raven is sipping on his fear, like using the spell as a straw effectively, right? And just sip, sip, sip on the fear. But if the straw isn't pointed into Jeremiah's soul or whatever anymore, and the Raven's just fucking sucking on nothing, literally sucking itself dry, like, it's not gonna be able to utilize his fear in the same way, and Jeremiah's still gonna be able to do things in the realm of the gray because he's still a human, a real thing in the insubstantial realm of the gray. So he's still able to fight back against the Raven, maybe not as effectively before, but pretty effectively. And meanwhile, the Raven, instead of having a constant source of fuel and energy to make itself more powerful, it's just expending energy. It's a battery without... The Raven's a battery without a charger and just starts bleeding dry until it burns itself out. And then Jeremiah wins. He's the big hero, saves the day, and he becomes the king of the gray. And he's... What he realizes through that is that the gray... They can't really become human, and they shouldn't want to. They should want to become more like the way the elves are in the story. The elves are... They evolved past being the simple gray, the simple caricatures and whatnot, and their own made themselves their own beings, but they kind of pigeonholed themselves in such a way that they kind of killed themselves off accidentally, effectively. There's only like 10 of them left or something like that. So he's like, they shouldn't do that. They should do something. And that's kind of his goal after the story, but that's him just talking in the final chapter about what he wants to do for the future. But yeah, I don't know. I really like this book. It was very good. It was very well executed. I really liked the idea that stories are what makes us human, right? By if we never engage with fiction and we just wake up, go to work, we never really live, right? You know. I really liked that sentiment. That really came through to me. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It was a great book. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, read it. I know I spoiled the whole thing, but you know, whatever. Go read it anyways. Let me look here. We had some recommendations for the next book for book club. Let me pull up a Chromium tab here. Let's see. We are going to the house at the end of the world. We will not click on the Amazon links because that will dox me. Alright. So we have this as was suggested. Goodreads. This. I wanted to also throw The Last Unicorn as an option into the ring. The Last Unicorn book. I've never actually read this book, but I was listening to a detailed diatribe of it from oh god, what's the name? Hold on, I can just look it up. Overly Sarcastic Productions. They did a detailed diatribe of The Last Unicorn. I listened to it, and so I kind of already know what happens in it, but I really, really liked the way they broke it down and the way they talked about it, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to read this book at some point, so I want to put this into the ring as well. So let me look at The House at the End of the World, see how I feel about it. All right, this is by Dean Koontz. I think I like Dean Koontz. I think I've read a couple of his books and I liked him. Hold on. Hold on. I don't recognize any of these books. I know I've heard of this guy before. Oh, while that loads. Soon, no one on Earth will have a place to hide in this novel about fears known and unknown, but whatever. In retreat from a devastating loss and crushing injustice, Katie lives alone in a fortress-like stone house on Jacob's Ladder Island. Once a rising star in the art world, she finds refuge in her painting. The neighboring island of Ring Rock houses a secret, a government research facility, and now 2 agents have arrived on Jacob's Ladder in search of someone, or something, they refuse to identify. Although an air of menace hangs over these men, an infinitely greater threat has arrived, one so strange even the island animals are in a state of high alarm. Katie soon finds herself in an epic and terrifying battle with a mysterious enemy, but Katie's not alone after all. A brave young girl appears out of the violent squall as Katie and her companions struggle across a dark and eerie landscape. Against them is an omnipresent terror that could bring about the end of the world. Interesting. Wow, this person really didn't like it. 1 star. Wow. People are pretty... Okay. I'm interested. It just sounds so interesting to me. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Okay. Yeah. I feel like I've read something about Dean Koontz. I know of him as an author. I know he's supposedly quite good, if nothing else. Alright, let's see. North is Night by Emily Rath. In the Finnish wilderness, more than wolves roam the dark forest. For Siri and Aina, Summer's fading light is a harbinger of unwelcome change. Land-hungry Swedes venture north, threatening the peace. A zealous Christian priest denounces the old ways, and young women have begun to disappear. Ciri vows to protect Aina from danger, but even Ciri cannot stop a death goddess from dragging her friend to Tuonela. Tuonela? I don't know. Tuonela. I don't know. Determined to save Aina, Ciri braves a dangerous journey north to seek the greatest shaman of legend, the only person to venture to the realm of death and return alive. In Tuonela, the cruel witch queen turns Aina's every waking moment into a living nightmare, but armed with compassion and cleverness, Aina learns the truth of her capture. The king of the underworld himself has plans for her. Interesting. I like the idea. Ooh, I want to. We're gonna open up. I read Dean Koontz before. I like his book, so I'm gonna check them on Audible. If they don't have an audiobook, that they will get. Okay, North is the Night has an audiobook. House at the End of the World, I assume, has an audiobook. It does. I'm actually concerned that The Last Unicorn won't have an audiobook, and if it doesn't, then it is what it is. It has an audiobook. Let's go. Let's go. Alright. Just so you guys know what The Last Unicorn is, I will also read that. She was magical, beautiful beyond belief, and completely alone. The unicorn had lived since before memory in a forest where death could touch nothing. Maidens who caught a glimpse of her glory were blessed by enchantment they would never forget. But outside her wondrous realm, dark whispers and rumors carried a message she could not ignore. Unicorns are gone from the world. Aided by a bumbling magician and an indomitable spinster, she sets out to learn the truth, but she feared even her immortal wisdom meant nothing in a world where a mad king's curse and terror incarnate lived only to stalk the last unicorn to her doom. Yeah, they all do sound pretty interesting. So I will put up a vote here. Let me go ahead and get that started. Books enthusiasts. New poll for the next book club. And then we will do read pull. Oop. Oh wait, hold on. Like this. If I could do things, that would be cool. Let me switch over. There we go. And then we will do House at the End of the World as a thing. Tonight. We'll. Dean Koontz. Emily. Wrath. And Answer. Last Unicorn. Peter S. Bigel. We shall have it last for 3 days. We will probably not need that long. And Thirst. And you may vote as you will. We'll probably just read all of these, and the voting will probably just determine the order more than anything. So, vote as you will. I'm doing pretty good, John. We just, hopefully we're gonna have the book stream before 2026. I mean, that's a valid concern. You're joking, but that's a valid concern. With the way I am sometimes, oh my goodness. Well, okay. Not only with the way I am, but also, I am gonna be switching jobs here soon. So, like, it, it might be a while. Like 2026 is definitely like actually very possible uh for next book club. It's either gonna be like 2026 or late late December probably. So yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, like, I canceling book club is just a meme at this point. Like, I do it all the time. Like, I do it to myself. Just found this stuff on YouTube like 2 hours ago. Nice. Well, I'm glad you liked it so much you decided to stop by the Twitch. I appreciate that. Thanks for dropping by. Speaking of which, the new audio is doing fantastic. I'm very happy. Yeah, smart stuff. Yeah. A meme. Great comparison. Yeah. Speaking of which, I'll get the next one uploaded. I know normally I have them uploaded early on Sunday. I did not this week. There is reasons for that, that I will not go into. But I'll get the next upload uploaded, hopefully tonight. And then we'll have and then obviously it'll release on Saturday as per the usual. Yeah. But hopefully early for members tonight. But it's effectively complete. I need to review it and make sure everything's good. But yeah. So yeah. I've got a lot of recording. I did not record any of the Patreon exclusive stuff that I was going to record. I need to get that done this weekend. So, but yeah, you voted. All right. Excellent. Well, we'll see in a few days what the vote turns out to be. Anyways, that said, book club is concluded. Thank you all for dropping by today. I am gonna get rolling on out here. Thanks for dropping on by, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, which that'll be Saturday. So Saturday is gonna be a little different, because Saturday I'm going to actually be on the ASMR Script Guild YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a bit of a podcast. I will post links in the Discord to where you can watch it. And after that, I will slip into an Abiotic Factor collab. I probably won't be streaming my POV for anything on Saturday. So it'll be other people's streams that you can slip into to get your dose of Akashi. Yeah. And then maybe I'll do like a painting stream later in the day. But I've been craving getting some painting done, and I kind of want to do it on stream. So I'm thinking maybe like a late night painting stream on Saturday, but we'll see. I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, Saturday should be interesting. I'm really looking forward to the podcast. I hope you all show up. Again, links will be in Discord if you're not in the Discord. Let me there we go. But until that next time, take care of yourselves, eat well, sleep well, hydrate, don't dehydrate, posture check, make sure you're not all shrimped up, don't want to lose a half inch like I did. But until then, bye-bye.